pull the whole thing down. I'm going to bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's going to be biblical.
Hello everyone, the Patriots Across the Pond, episode 5. Hello Elisa, how are you? I know you're tired, you've only had a few hours sleep and I'm full of flu.
I know. How are you, Stu? Yeah, I was just working and I had like so much energy last night. I couldn't turn off. And now this morning I'm dragging a little, but it's okay. These shows always energize me. Plus it's also my birthday, so it's my birthday.
Merry Born Day, as I like to say.
Yes,
because we all know about
birth
language they've used against us.
Yes.
Sorry for the delay, people. 4 minutes late. We had a few little technical issues, but it's just stuff we're going to iron out. And I think we're just going to chat about all the topics going on at the moment, because there is a lot. I've just got to write Hegseth down there, because I was just listening to our friend and some others, not so much of a friend, Phil, and he said Hegseth's plane, that went down supposedly of a crack in the windscreen and stuff like that. He said there was an assassination attempt, and Hegseth wasn't actually on there. And he's a very big man in this position, and military movements worldwide are really getting into some operations now. And I think we're going to start seeing some big shit go down, especially with all these people talking about this is what's happening with what's that name, Christopher Green and stuff, banging on about the finance system and it's go time sort of thing. Everyone keeps saying. Tom Numbers, he's banging on about it as well. I know when the Black Swan event's going to be, but he won't tell any of us, will he? No.
It's like we know that if we've been following this movement, so much has been happening, right? There hasn't really been any lull in anything going on behind the scenes, but it feels like things are just coming out, like they just keep firing, right? Just this week. I mean, then when you said like talking about even in the US, like with this government shutdown, right? It's very funny how, like you said, like with, oh, well, we're going to see, as far as the planes coming down, and then all of a sudden they do. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's so well orchestrated, this movie that we're watching. And I know that a lot of people are talking about a near-death experience, right? That we're supposed to have some really major thing happen. But I'm sort of watching everything that happens, right or wrong. And I feel like everything is part of the movie. Now, I'm sure there's aspects that are not, right? They may just be happening organically or, in the fight, but I don't believe anything. So I don't know if I'm going to be afraid, I mean, we're because even though they tell the awakened that this is coming, we still don't know what it's going to be, right? So just as a human, it might spark or trigger some kind of fear or worry. But my attitude is so the other extreme right now. Everything I see, everything I hear, somehow in my mind, it's like, it's not really real, or it happened already, or it's just like, how do you feel about that? Like, I don't think that's good either, to think that everything is part of the movie, but my mind is just so absorbed with this idea that they are showing everyone and they have to reveal and they have to expose the corruption that's happened. To me, it just feels like I don't believe that anything is really organic. What do you think?
Yes. I mean, I was even going to say to you, the fact that, you know, Big Balls got beaten up. And funnily enough, I've just seen a post that, you know, Big Balls, don't you? Who was in Doe's team and that. And he got beaten up, didn't he? I've just seen his attackers have just been allowed to walk free. Democratic judge, I believe. But even that, I was thinking about that, going, I wonder even if he did get beaten up, whether he wasn't photographed covered in claret from a really good Hollywood makeup team, you know, because it's not funny, it's really unfunny, but how it happens to certain people in the movement that always seems to forward the awakening process.
Yes, and it seems the timing, right? Like it feels like a movie. Like when you watch a movie, it goes from scene to scene, you know, and sometimes there are multiple parts of the storyline happening, right? So the scenes will flip back and forth, or it'll follow this particular person or that particular person or this event. But the timing of everything just feels like a movie. Like certain narratives are put out there, and then some reflection of that happens in real time. So is that really possible if life was just happening? You know what I mean? I mean, even this thing with Trump and Borla, right? And I know that's on your list. It's a little further down.
That's what we talk about first.
Yeah, I was just really surprised. Okay, and this is what surprises me more than anything in our movement. What surprises me is that so many of us are out there, not everyone, but so, you know, has this reaction, but so many of us are out there talking about Q, and we're talking about what was said, and we're looking at deltas, and we're, you know, looking at the dates and, you know, the timestamps and all these comms that are given to us, right? And then something happens in, you know, real time, let's say it like that, and I get very surprised with a lot of the truthers and the people who are so insightful that get caught up in it.
Yeah, because the truthers that do that, and Black Pill and Panic Hands and stuff like that, are the ones that jump on the clickbait. They're the ones that sort of they have faith, but then they lose it. And what was I going to say then? I've just had a complete loss of train of thought.
Well, you were saying how they take the bait, right? They take it, and then they're
yes, and sorry, they don't follow Q. That was going to be my third point. The fact that when you follow Q and look at the people that dig into it all the time, and the correlations and the comms and the at-tips we're getting from Trump, and the nods and the winks and the language, you go, oh, like that. But the people that don't follow that jump on this clickbait. They don't see the bigger picture, even though some of them have been truthing for years. I know some people that just do that, jump on something, but they have been part of this movement for over a decade, talking about stuff and the New World Order and this and money and central bank digital currencies, etc. The royal family, you know, everything. But they still jump on it. And I say to people, the main thing you need to remember is that when I see something happen, I saw that thing with Borla and Trump and RFK Jr. and I thought, that don't seem right, but you have to use the 48 to 72 hour rule, plus, however long it takes. I look at RFK Jr.'s face behind him going, exactly what Trump was doing to Fauci.
Well, and so much to that point that I just find it hard to believe anyone would believe that's real, you know, in our level of understanding and, you know, research, because just think back. If everybody stops and thinks back, remember when they'd have press conferences like this? There was cameras flashing, and it was, there were questions and answers, and the person had a script of some kind that they were, talking about. Whenever you did these kinds of things, right? Whenever there were supposedly big coordination between, agencies or governments or whatever, you'd have like a lot. It was so. You look at things now, whether it was the Trump RFK and Borla, or even when Trump was meeting with Jerome Powell, if you remember that, when they met at the Fed, what was this, maybe about a month ago or two?
He embarrassed him, didn't he?
Yeah,
These people are being put front and center. They've been shown
exactly.
To the people.
And you have these two men that are supposedly very important, I say it in quotes, very important, very powerful men. You have Jerome Powell, and then in this case you have Borla, and they look like fools. Like, they're not saying anything. There's no emotion. They look like robotic, right? So that brings up a whole other issue, right? If it's even a person or whatever. Yeah. But then you look at the lack of any kind of real conversation. So forgetting about everything else, that just screams psyop, acting job, part of the movie, and
capitulation and humiliation.
Yeah.
And that takes us back to RDS. Make the deal, motherfucker, or you are going to die.
Yeah. But see, I go a step further in my belief system where, I don't know. I don't think any of us know for sure, but I find it really hard to believe that when we're watching these people, that it's even them. Like, go back and look at a picture of Borla. It does not look like him, so that's the first issue. The second issue is, with all that's been going on with RFK and all that he's been fighting for and all that he's been taking a lot of flack for, he's going to make a deal. Like, it just doesn't make logical sense. But there's so many people who don't know who this man is. They don't really understand, the significance in our society and control that Big Pharma has had. So they have to do, like you said, the way during COVID, you had Trump having Fauci there. Oh, step up. Go ahead. Talk, Tony. Remember when he would do that? Go ahead, Tony. And so my point is, I just get very confused when I see people that I really feel are very smart, very insightful, have given some good information in my world, in my community, all of a sudden getting upset when they see these things, instead of saying, yes, it's part of the exposure. It has to happen this way. Maybe it's frustrating to us, but I don't get frustrated. I actually think it's funny, and I think it's moving to an end in a very serious way that we need to get to.
100%. 100%. These people, look, you can't. For 100 years, they've been manipulated, been manipulating us, and you have to undo that manipulation in private initially, and then in public thereafter. And whether these people have been taken out, we talk about clones, actors, masks, and all sorts of stuff. A lot of it is CGI. We've seen Biden's head disappear with hands go through a microphone. Right. Whether they are the originals and stuff like that, you can't tell the public the truth. You have to show them. So you have to show them what they were going to do, how these Democrats are acting at the moment, and undo this slowly. And, everyone jumps on that baller thing and stuff like that. Trump's given them 70 million or 70 billion, whatever it is. No, that's Pfizer's own money, right? And all of a sudden, drug prices have come down between 50 to 100%. That's what Trump was saying 4 years ago. I'm upselling some really big people, the middlemen in front of them, 17 washing machines and stuff. You may not see me for a while.
Yeah.
Sort of stuff, and it is being, this public rollout has to be slow. So that what you were saying then, have you watched that 20-minute clip of Bria, excuse me, phoning into the News Treason show? And it was the 3 act structure of the Q operation, and she used to work in Hollywood, and she was talking how this movie is unfolding and how it's got to affect the public and that. Have you ever seen that?
This was a while ago, right? This was
about 4 months ago.
Is she the one? I'm trying to, because I saw a few of those. Was she the one that she actually made such a point that actually stuck with me? If it's the same one we're talking about, where she talks about how in a movie nobody wants anyone to know what the ending is.
Yeah.
And so even though we are, out there talking about stuff, they still, let me put it this way. They don't want us to give away the secret if we know. And if we don't know, they don't want to give that secret away to us because we're supposed to be surprised too, even though maybe we know more than the average person or the normie. So that was brilliant what she said. I loved the way she
it was amazing.
That. It was so well thought out and strategic. And it really makes you like stop looking at everything that's happening as if it's the one thing. It's not. It's like the string that's tying everything together to get from beginning to end. And that's a really good one. I don't know where that is, but that would be a great one to share for people to just kind of
I've shared that all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, I shall find it. It's in it's in my Telegram channel, it's everywhere really, but the 3-act structure of the Q operation, and it's on Dave News Treason's channel.
Yeah, maybe we can put it in the description boxes, like once this is after it's live, right? I'll put it in both of ours.
I can do that. All our details are at the bottom if anyone wants to contact us anyway, but I do believe as well that we, as Anons and the people that have really dug into it the most, we've been used by the Q operation. We've been used to steer the public narrative in certain directions, to confuse the enemy, wake the people up at the same time, all sorts of things. This is why we're all trying to date fag and all these sorts of things initially and stuff, and decode the drops and stuff. They're pretty much undecodable, aren't they, really? Unless Matrix Code Brave and people like that, but they still can't predict the future with them, really. I know Stormy talks a lot about plane clombs and plane falling out of the sky, and are we going to see Trump? Are we going to believe Trump's gone? Do you know what I mean? But then I refer everyone back to Q drops 4 and 6. POTUS will be well insulated.
Yes. And
all these sorts of things. It's amazing. Let's just quickly go into this ball a bit more.
Yeah, sure.
Because there's a new film out with RFK Jr. and I've just watched that Del Bigtree's new film, which is amazing. If anyone wants to watch that, it's down the bottom here. But if anyone wants to dig into this, I watched a couple of things. Oh, it's gone. I watched that first. He took the jab and why with Stitchfield, and he had Ben Tapper on there. But go and watch Absolute Storm episode 107, and I think go to 1 hour 6 minutes, and BB Maguire starts talking, and she does 40. Did you manage to watch that?
I didn't get the whole thing.
Right, but it's amazing, isn't it? She digs into it and everything, and what's going on with Pfizer now. Everyone's going to be brought into this. This is the big pharma capitulation tour.
Yes.
In public, they've already capitulated and all that sort of stuff. All those people were sitting around with Zuckerberg and Tim Cook and Borla, weren't they, at a dinner about 2 weeks ago? Oh, I told you they're all Masons and all. No, they've all capitulated, been replaced, or whatever, or they're being told what to do. They're all reading off scripts, aren't they? Anyway, it's episode 107. 1 hour 6 minutes, I think, for 47 minutes. BB Maguire will settle your minds, people. It's amazing. Trump's taking the jag. Now, Sherry Tenpenny posted this, and she said, I am more than disturbed to read that President Trump just received his coasted booster and his flu shot. Very disturbing news. But BB Maguire goes into this as well. And in preparation for upcoming international travel, President Trump also received preventative health screenings and immunisations, including annual influenza and updated COVID-19 booster vaccinations. Now, we've I don't think for 1 minute he's taken that. Let's just read a couple of things here. This is posted by Striker. Why would the Commander-in-Chief, GJT, get the C-19 booster? 2 reasons. Reason 1, if you had a whole population of people that were injected with something that was dangerous, how would you start the reversal to fix it? Perhaps it's an antidote. Who better to start the process than the visual asset to get a booster to stop the trickle effect? Millions love him. They'll get it just because he did. People that hate him will do it anyway because they're mentally set to do so. Those who refuse to get any other jab would essentially have a possible reverse effect, spike protein from those that get the booster. It's just reverse engineering. It may also be the antidote that pulls people out of the hypnosis they've been in forever. Reason 2, he's getting ready to go overseas. Now, this was a couple of days ago. Phil noted something happening over the weekend, right? Now, are we going to still see this happen? Stormy and Avs keep talking about these plane comms. If something happened to him and it was a died suddenly situation, or maybe this will happen to Biden or someone else, there is a purpose in everything, right? Phil was talking about the 13th, 14th there. Thinking out loud, what is Trump's current age? Who is 14 years younger? That may be a baddie, because it says in that document as well that Trump's ECG was found to be approximately 14 years younger than his chronicle age. And BB Maguire was saying, I've never heard of that before. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing that can detect that. So is this some sort of upgraded technology? And, you know, the secret lies in confusing the enemy, that he cannot fathom real intent. Sometimes public awareness of certain events prevents occurrence. Sometimes public awareness of certain events forces accountability.
Will you get a COVID booster? It's been 6 months since you were...
Didn't want to play that. And then this is AJ Roberts' show. You really believe that Trump just got the COVID booster? Has the last 8 years of his military operation taught you nothing? In 2020, Trump not only promoted hydroxychloroquine, he also warned about the ventilators repeatedly. This is clearly to bring Fauci back into the limelight. You've been shown day after day the real criminals being brought into limelight in the same fashion. Gates and Zuckerberg at the White House for a meeting with floaters and POTUS. BB coming to the White House with no protection. The Pfizer CEO is responsible for overseeing the rollout of the mRNA shots that your government's made billions of. Don't forget, I don't think Pfizer was part of Operation Warp Speed, and the military were working on that stuff in the background.
Yes.
Giving Tony Blair praise. I mean, he's one of the worst serpents out there, isn't it? Sometimes you have to show the public for them to understand the art of war. The old secret lies in confusing the enemy, and I just read that. And then there's a load of, you can just screenshot this. I'm not going to read all those out. A load of stuff Trump has said. And don't forget, Trump has been tweeting about the vaccines for a long, long time. And if you want to watch that Del Bigtree movie, it's called An Inconvenient Study, and it's aninconvenientstudy.com, and it's free to watch. So, what do you think about that?
I didn't want to talk too much because of the echo when you have your screen up, but a couple of things.
Was I echoing?
What? No, you weren't echoing. I was when I would speak. So that's why I did.
Yeah, I always mute my mic when I'm playing something.
Yeah. So I think this, from the surface, right? It can be a little scary if you're not tuned in and you're partially awake and you realize that if you don't follow Q, if you don't follow the military operation, but you're awake enough to know that you didn't want to get the shot, right? Because there are people that are in that, they didn't comply, but they're not as deep into, researching and everything as we have been, and many people like we just showed on those posts. So if you're one of those people, you're probably very dumbfounded and you're probably frightened and you just don't get it and it doesn't make any sense, right? And I remember when Trump told everyone, remember in one of the speeches, he said, yes, go get vaccinated. Remember when he said that and people...
Boo. No, don't. Yeah.
And the news media, that, the alternative was they couldn't understand. Like, I mean, I include myself in that. Like, I was kind of like very surprised at that moment when it first happened, like knowing there has to be more to this, but I was just taken aback when he first said that. So there's so many possibilities of what this all means. Like one of them is what they said, that you you have a population of people who have taken this, and they're going to continue to get 8,000 boosters, right? And no matter what anybody says, they're just going to do it. But then there's these other people who maybe did it, and now, like you said, like they said, there's a fear because they're realizing what happened. So what does that mean? Is that trying to get rid of the fear? Because if people are operating in a world of fear, they're not going to be, you can't wake them up further because the fear is ruling. It's not allowing their vibration to raise enough to take in new information and to actually absorb that, right? Because they're living in this very low vibration of fear, and they're easily controlled. So now you have to get rid of that so they can start having some critical thinking. But the other possibility, which we don't know, right? Because it's very funny tying it back to Borla. And now they're saying, oh, we're working together. Okay, yes, there's the whole capitulation aspect of it. We're working together. But he said the flu and the the COVID. So is there an anecdote? Don't forget, you and I never bought into this. We never did anything. If you bought into it and you're still buying into it, well, you'll maybe by accident, if this is an antidote or something, like you'll get it because you're thinking you need the original jab and the boosters. But if you're a person who got it, right, like my mom, she regrets getting it because she wasn't awakened and didn't understand. And now Trump is telling you, don't worry about it. Maybe that's how those people, there's just so many possibilities. But it is kind of funny that him and RFK have this conference, press conference with Borla. And now they're putting out this message that Trump got his vaccination. Like, it's just, is that coincidence? No.
No, it's timing, isn't it? And we don't know whether it's Regeneron, hydroxychloroquine, and ivermectin. We don't know whether it's that new military vaccine they've been working on for years. Absolutely. We don't know whether everyone's getting that new military vaccine. So no one's getting any more ill than they were. Maybe it's turning it around. Otherwise, my dad had 9, right? There's so many people out there that have had so many jabs. You'd have thought, I can't believe you're still standing. So there's definitely some more to it. I've done 2 complete podcasts, both an hour and a half, 2 hours long, called Trump versus Big Pharma, the vax question, when everyone was really digging into it. Why is Trump not going against the jab? And if he did go against the jab, right, that would have been him done. He's got to remain neutral and all these sorts of things, right? If he'd have come out against Big Pharma then, vaccines are, so many people believe that they are the biggest invention in history. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's all got to be turned around slowly. It has. But those podcasts I did are amazing. We've got clips in there from X22, Badlands Media, all sorts of people talking about it and how we could do this. And Mel did an interview the other day, didn't he? And he did a little clip about it, that if Trump had said, don't take the jab, right? All the people that potentially they said died from COVID, they'd have put that on Trump's door.
Yeah.
Dead people can't talk. That was interesting. I did a little video of my own with that clip of Mel included in it. But yeah, it's 5th generation warfare. People have been saying these things for years. The horror people are going to feel, not just when they've taken them themselves, it's parents giving them to their children.
Yeah.
And that new film out by Del Bigtree, watch it. I told everyone on Facebook, watch this now. Probably 2 people watch it. Whatever.
Yeah, no, it was excellent. I didn't get through the whole thing just because of timing, but the intro itself was very powerful. The way that he introduced it, and then you go into the movie. It's really, really very, very impressive. And I'm going to finish that today, but it's just like, I guess what we need to do though, is we really need to stop jumping to conclusions. My Razor Rick always says that, It's like the new Olympic sport, jumping to conclusions, right? And you're saying, you say all the time, you have to wait that 48 to 72 hours minimum, because then, it gives you a chance to start thinking, and you start, a lot more ability to discern what's really going on. But you're right. Everything that Trump does, it always has to be done where he's leaving as little fingerprints as possible.
Yeah, and also it's, if something's confusing, it's to get people to do their own research and wake themselves up.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
People, you can't just tell people what to do, even though a lot of people would just listen, And
that's the problem. That's the problem we've had, because we've been dumbed down and people just listen. They don't even know. I mean, how many people that go for all these vaccines every year? I know someone, she will not even eat a pretzel because of what it has in it. But she's gotten like 9 boosters. So you will have discernment to look at what you're eating, but you're not going to get to have discernment and ask what is in every last ounce of this thing I'm putting into my body.
Well, no one knew anyway, did they? Because the fire, you open the insert and stuff like that, and it's a big piece of paper like that with nothing on it. This is left blank on purpose or something like that.
Right, but that's my point.
No doctor that gave that to anyone gave anyone informed consent of what was in it, because they didn't know.
Exactly. And so let's just look at that as a calm too. Okay. If you have a big piece of paper with nothing on it, could that be saying there's really nothing in here?
Could be.
It's just saline.
Yeah. Well, that's what I hope, and I've even thought that people have always died, but everyone that's died the last 4 years, we've automatically, if you've been that way, how many jabs did you have and all that? There's how many more people are dying than normal, right? Do you know what I mean? And it might be because we're looking into it too much that we think that, and that is, what we hope, but it's maybe some shit got through and most of it was placebo. They couldn't save everyone. That's the point.
Right. But here's another conspiracy to think about. What if, because we know with a lot of these vaccines, they had time release stuff in it. Over time, it was supposed to, produce cancer or whatever other disease, right? How do you know that this wasn't all timed for when a lot of, like, whether it be the flu shot, whether it be the Gardasil, which all those teenagers had to take, right? How do we know that this was coinciding with the results of things that people took before?
15, 20 years ago. Yeah, slowly.
So it looked like it, which was perfect for the narrative, right? Because we know what the real plan was. I mean, it's out there, it's been written. So it just worked it worked perfectly to fit that narrative. But I have to tell you, my friend's son never took the COVID vaccine, but he had gotten Gardasil like 5 years or 6 years earlier, and he had myocarditis during the time when all the COVID stuff was happening. So you know what I'm saying? So we just don't know the knowledge and the information that these guys have and that they've been working with. Everything is in the timing. And so what if that was also part of the timing? And again, I don't know, but you have these doctors who put their lives on the line to talk about how bad this was, right? And to come out. But, maybe in reality, that's what it was supposed to be. And maybe, you know what I'm trying to say? And they're trying to help wake people up, or just, genuinely because of the information that they had, it appeared that's what was in the vaccine. So the question that none of us really know for sure is, did it get out there? Did part of it get out there? Like, we don't know the truth about that. And at the end of the day, this was a journey of having people, we say wake up, but really, if you think about it, it's not about waking up. It's about remembering, because we're remembering what we should have always knew, and been in touch with on a spiritual level, and who we are. And they made sure that we didn't. So yes, it's awakening from a slumber, but it's also remembering the things that we always knew as divine beings, and
taking our power back.
Yeah.
Getting our power back, which a lot of people have given away.
Yeah.
Other people. They rely on government, stuff like that. And even when everyone knows the government doesn't give a shit about you, but a lot of people go along with it. Oh, there's nothing we can do about it. What can I do on my own? Said 8 billion people.
Yeah, that is. Sorry, my dog's barking. That's exactly the point. And I see that all the time. I see it all the time, and you see it all the time. And one of the biggest places we see that is when people get really sick, right? Whether they get dementia, Alzheimer's, cancer, they get these things, and people are in such a fear, right? Understandable. It's scary because, of course, the hype of what, there's no cure and you're going to die and it's a death sentence. And so many people just accept, they try things and they do a whole bunch of stuff. But truthfully, if what we know now about what cancer probably really is, the solution is really easy.
Yes.
And these poor people so many people just don't want to believe it. And they just accept there's nothing I can do. My family member, my loved one's going to die. There's nothing I can do. We did everything. And then they just get complacent because I guess they're just so tired, or they just feel there's no answers. And there's nothing more these days. Like when I had to go to a funeral and this poor guy died of cancer. It was his second round of having it. And when I heard them say, through tears, the family, we were praying for a miracle. You don't know, like, I don't get sad anymore. I get angry. I get enraged. I'm like, it's not about miracles. It's about knowing where to look and having the mindset to be able to know how you can really get rid of this and prevent it. And these are the people that are going on, walks for breast cancer and this. I'm like, what are you walking for? What? How many years? How much money? How come there's still no cure? Because most of it's in the prevention, not right?
Yeah.
Take the aluminum out. Take the aluminum out.
Look, if you told everyone straight out they've had a cure for cancer for 40 years, how many people would be dragging doctors and coming out in the streets and all that and losing their minds? You can't do it like that. Everything that has got to be some sort of slow rollout reversal. Just going back to the jab and that, when they told us that it had to be kept at minus 70 degrees, right, in a fridge or freezer or whatever, before they injected it into you, I thought, I ain't taking that. Do you know what I mean? What's in that had to be kept so cold that was going to warm up and start moving about, maybe?
Right.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It is. And then, it also, like, if people were, able to think, like, there was two aspects to the whole mask thing for people who didn't comply. One was just like, don't tell me what to do and don't tell me to put something on my face. Okay, I'm not a slave. But the other aspect was the scientific aspect, like, it doesn't work anyway. So why would I do it if it doesn't work? Like, there were two, and people these knuckleheads are still walking around with masks.
Yeah, one of my mates was standing, I saw him in the supermarket, and he spoke to me for 5 minutes with a mask on. I said, what are you wearing that for? I was in there smiling like that. And spoke to him for about 5 minutes before he went like that. I went, oh, fuck it, and put it under his chin. And I just went, so you're not scared of a virus then, are you? You're scared of the government. He's a big lad as well, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. It was a fear to comply.
Yeah. Well, look at it militarily too. It was also a big, huge distraction. We're all looking over here and they're doing what they have to do over there.
Yeah. Was COVID a black op or a white hat op? Because of what they were going to do was so much worse. 10 years of lockdowns, Hillary being in, nuclear war, injecting us, FEMA camps and all that sort of stuff. Oh, we could talk about it. It always goes back, doesn't it, to mask wearing and COVID. Doesn't it? Every conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have on your list, tell me what you were thinking.
I just got loads of stuff on there just to talk about everything that's happening. Do you want to talk about the peace deal quickly?
Sure.
Yeah, all right. Well, we've just had this peace deal. And I believe there's a no King's March now, isn't there, on the 18th, which is Saturday in 2 days' time. So most people that were going free Palestine are going to be protesting against Trump now. So you can't do anything for these people, really. But the peace deal, Trump was in there. He said loads of things in his speech, kept saying central casting. Now, what does he mean when he says that? There's actors everywhere, or you've made a deal, or you're playing a part. He called out Miriam Adelson, didn't he? The big donation that everyone goes, oh, Trump's cozying up with her, saying, is she for Israel or America? Israel. Do you know what I mean? He called out the Zionists. 1,700 prisoners were released, weren't they? And I've looked at the number; it's completely different. But why would they give a number that's different to the actual number if they weren't out tipping us that something's going on?
Yeah.
And then Trump flew to Egypt after that. And I know we talked to Bibi Netanyahu, or Satan Yahoo, as Mike King likes to call him. I know we talked to him there and stuff like that, and they were all applauding and all these things. But he got on a plane and went to Egypt after, didn't he? And there was 30 different countries there, I think. And there was kings and princes and all stuff waiting to get on the stage and queue up and have a photo with Trump and stuff like that. But Israel was not there, nor was Netanyahu. Right? And that's really, really interesting, just to show that this. And you can look at Ghost to Base Patrick Henry. He's put videos and stuff like that going back to 2017 when Trump was making peace deals with Mahmoud Abbas, I think, who was the Palestinian leader and stuff. And it's amazing. And how Yasser Arafat stood back years ago, and you got Bill Clinton there overseeing this sort of thing. This goes back a long time. They've just made these peace deals now. This has been a long operation between all the Arab nations and stuff like that, and the one being shown to be the bad egg is Israel, isn't it? And everyone's seeing it. I was speaking to someone in the gym the other day, and he said everyone hates Israel now, sort of thing like that. And I said, but they didn't, did they, 2 years ago? And it's not the Israeli people and things like that.
Right, of course. No, we're talking about the
regime and the cabal of.
Absolutely. It's not the people. You know, and the people were, manipulated. We know there was such manipulation going on, through the 1930s and the Second World War to be able to form Israel so that they could have their playground.
And the whole of the Second World War potentially was about the Jew narrative. People don't look at the Bolsheviks and all that sort of stuff before and who was doing that. That's a massive deep dive, that. But the point of the Second World War, and who was the Satanist that wrote that letter about the 3 world wars? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But him, the point of the Second World War was to bring in this state of Israel. So they needed to bring in this narrative of the Holocaust and all these sorts of things. And the Balfour Declaration was written
1917.
Yeah.
So the thing is, and again, I always like to make sure people know, we're not in any way saying that people didn't suffer. We're not saying that what people's ancestors, great grandparents, grandparents went through. People, we're not denying what was done. What we're trying to bring forth is that it's all always been orchestrated. Like, things just didn't happen organically. You know, Hitler just didn't come out and was just this crazy man. It was a very strategic thing to bring, you know, things from one place to the next. And each, let's say, bad regime that we can look at in history is the same bad players. It's the same bad players taking on different names or different groups to basically control, kill, victimize for the end that those people, the bad people, had. And, you know, this whole thing with Israel is no different. You know, it's just that they always have to have an emotional component so that people can't use their critical thinking to look beyond. You know what I'm saying? If you're in pain or you're scared or you're hurt or you're traumatized, you're not going to be able to look at what's really going on here, you know. And that's why Trump and the military had to play it so careful, because Israel is such an emotional trigger to so many people.
You know what the Samson option is, do you?
A what?
Do you know what the Samson option is?
Tell me. Sounds familiar, but...
The Samson option is basically that Israel have written into law or protocol or something like that, because they are the chosen ones, and this is all written by the Rothschilds and all these sorts of things and plans and stuff like that, that if the world's nations turned on Israel, the Samson option is about launching nuclear missiles at everyone at the same time.
Yes.
You know? So it's just, this is, we see shipping containers everywhere. You know, we don't know if there's children in them and stuff like that. We don't know if there's rocket launchers or missiles and all these bombs in them everywhere placed around. You know, I'm sure the White Hats have been taking them all out. But you have to deconstruct this enemy piece by piece. You can't just go at them all at once, because they'll just go underground and, you know, reappear again sometime. Have you ever watched the documentary called The Greatest Story Never Told? It's 6.5 hours long about Hitler. Everyone should watch that. And that, and you would be going, you know, we could do a whole show talking about that. I don't want to talk about that really. I'll let Charlie Freak do it all. Yeah. But yeah, because he doesn't care. But that is just such an amazing film to watch, because they've lied to us about everything. Why wouldn't they lie to us about?
They've lied about so many things. And the problem is that it's the reason, if you're controlling the media, right? We come back to censorship. I mean, it always circles back to censorship, because they control the media and they control the narrative. I mean, we've all seen that video where you have, like, I don't know what it was, like 30 or 40 different news stations all around saying the exact, like, verbatim, the exact same thing, right? So it's all programming. And then you have the censorship. So, you know, that is...
We're going to play that quickly. I'm going to play that because I found it.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about the troubling irresponsible, one-sided news stories
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 Who listens to these people? 4 a.m. talking points. They get told what to say.
Yeah. And you know what? Just I'm watching these people and I'm like, what a bunch of buffoons.
Yeah.
Right? Right. And then of course we don't know how many are, you know, just average journalists, or are they plants and, you know, connected to, you know, CIA and all that stuff, like a lot of them are.
I think, yeah, most of them are.
Yeah. So the point to this, right? Because it kind of goes back to what we've been involved with, like with the documentary that Mel, you know, did with Dear Mr. President, which most people don't even realize. That's the problem. If you're watching news in your city or your state, you're just seeing your newscaster. You're not seeing that this is the same message that's going out on 100 or 1,000 or whatever different. And what's really interesting, what I think they highlighted at the end, this is extremely dangerous to our democracy. We're not a democracy in the United States. We are a constitutional republic.
Yeah.
Very different.
I think most places are, aren't they? Even here in the UK. I think you know, behind the scenes, we've got a constitution and a Bill of Rights and stuff like that. But it's just, it's just been hidden from us.
Yeah, and remember, a lot of the way the United States came up with their, you know, with our government structure, the founding fathers, is based on England and your history, you know, and going all the way back to the Magna Carta. So there's all these things that the pieces were supposed to be put in place the right way, right? But you have someone controlling the media. And so now they're not going to let information get out about child trafficking. They're not going to let the information get out that we know about election fraud. They're not going to let all the information about how we're being poisoned get out, you know? And it's like, I just interviewed Louis Herms yesterday, who's, you know, was part of the Truth Tour and so many other things that he's done in the truther community. And he's now running for governor of California. And, you know, we were talking about how you can't separate these issues from censorship, because if you didn't have the censorship, you'd be able to, people would know this. I mean, how many people really know about child sex trafficking?
No, they don't. They wouldn't do that. They don't believe it exists and stuff.
Yeah. Tell someone about CPS.
Oh,
tell them, right? They can't fathom.
Well, Planned Parenthood as well, and you know, things like that is like, it's horrific.
It's absolutely disgusting. Yeah. And people just don't know, because most people don't take the time, whether they're busy, whether it's just plain old denial, to go down those rabbit holes. And you want to know, those rabbit holes are pretty horrific things to go down. I mean, nobody really wants to hear somebody's account of what's done to babies, you know, in these clinics. They don't want to hear what's done to children that have been passed around. They don't want to know what goes on with torturing them for their blood. Like, but you have to. Like, people have to just grow up and say, okay, well, let me check that out a little bit, because we, as the digital soldiers, are trying to get those messages out. They're not going to hear it on the evening news.
No, exactly. So, I mean, with that media discussion there, obviously you're going for a shutdown over there in the States at the moment. What's it, about day 12, is it, or something like that?
Yeah.
And we've got all these Democrats out, and
well, do we? Let's put that in quotes.
Oh, okay.
Because once again, I know that there was a big giant fence put around our Capitol back, you know, in 2021, and a lot of these people looked really different a month or 2 months later. So the Democrats, you know, are they from central casting too?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find another video here now, but I can't find anything, can I, at this time?
What are you looking for?
It's just I've put loads of stuff into my Telegram, not the Telegram, into my StreamYard here to just play, but I don't know where things are. I've got a load of Trump stuff in there. Oh, there it is. This is. Oh, let's just play this little video. This happened in 2020.
General William Walker, the commanding general of the District of Columbia National Guard. Major, thank you for joining us this morning. Can you start out by saying what the current threat level is? Do you have what you need in place to counter it?
Good morning, sir. I do believe we have everything. If I can first say happy holiday for Dr. Martin Luther King, and please allow me to say how proud I am of the almost 25,000 National Guardsmen who have come in from all 50 states and territories to help support the Secret Service and the police departments with a peaceful transition of military power. Good morning, sir.
A peaceful transition to military power. You know, I think I heard yesterday someone was saying that the Insurrection Act was signed in 2018. Now, whether it was or it wasn't and stuff like that, but Trump has been this front man for this military operation going on behind the scenes for a very, very long time, and all the clues were there.
The clues, there weren't even clues. He says it. He comes right out and says it. Now, I'm trying to imagine if I wasn't aware, and you know, because by 2020, I was much more aware of what was going on, not to the extent that I am today, but like, I'm trying to think, if that guy is on the news and he's talking and you see the pictures of what was the transfer of military power? He didn't say presidential power. He did, you know, executive branch power. He said military power. So is it just like crickets? You know, people just like it doesn't register? Because they told us.
Yeah, they did tell us. Trump's inauguration speech, he told us.
In 2017.
Look, I don't want to keep playing loads of videos on this, but let me just play this. This is because Trump has got...
I think it's good. People like to see videos. You know, I think it's good.
Advocate General and military intelligence standing behind him. And listen.
Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning. Because today, we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. Politicians prospered, but the jobs left and the factories closed. The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. Their victories have not been your victories. Their triumphs have not been your triumphs. And while they celebrated in our nation's capital, there was little to celebrate for struggling families all across our land. That all changes starting right here and right now, because this moment is your moment. It belongs to you.
Like, I get chills every time I watch that.
He's telling you what is happening.
But I will say, he's telling us, no question, but you have to understand it. It has to be pointed out to you. The military guy that was on the news said it. You know what I'm saying? Like Trump didn't say he had the visuals and he was telling us that it's being given back to us, but that could be a very metaphoric thing. People could take that very metaphorically, like, right? the military guy saying transfer of military power. So like the words were there, you know, and I just think that the slumber that everyone was in, we were all asleep at one point. I mean, I know there are people who say I've been awake for 35 years, I've been awake, but at some point you weren't.
No, exactly. That, you know, what that military guy said there, I think that was the, you know, that was the big nod to the devolution phase and stuff. Don't forget when Trump lost the election and left on Air Force One with the football and stuff, and we were all a bit miffed for a while. We didn't know what was going on, did we? Until, you know, it started John Herald and all this, and Christopher Miller made that speech, didn't he, with Mike Pence, saying we have gone through some of the most complex military operations in history, and, you know, things like that. And I thank you, sir. And, you know, a lot of people think Pence is wrong and stuff like that, but that couldn't have happened if Pence didn't do what he did. Maybe he is a bad guy, do you know what I mean? And they knew he was going to do that. And
right. But it was still his actions that allowed for that, whether he was, you know, controlled and a bad guy. I don't, you know, there's so many people that we just don't know. Like last week we were talking about Milley, you know, this week we just mentioned Pence. And, you know, here's the thing. I think it was it you that we were talking about the sacrifices that certain people have made? And no, like many people have made, because there are so many people that either, if they were whistleblowers, they put their lives and their families' lives on the line. If they're well-known politicians that played a role of being a bad guy for the sake of saving the republic and taking down the cabal, whether it's the obvious, like President Trump, who had this, you know, his mission was to do what he's doing, right? As opposed to, like he says, I could be enjoying, you know, the fruits of my labor and all this kind of stuff, which I'm not really sure was ever the plan, because this operation has been going on for so long that he was such an integral part of way before he ran, you know. But the point being, there's so many people. And then, you know, we take for granted, you know, the podcasting world, but back, you know, during the 2020 election, how many of them were coming out and decoding and talking about stuff and putting themselves in harm's way? Because, you know, we didn't know whether it was safe or not safe, you know, like, and I'm not saying I wasn't podcasting at that time, but I'm talking about a lot of the people that I did follow. And so this is truly, that's when you start digging through everything. This has truly been and is a war of good and evil. And people are on the good side and people are on the bad side. And all those people, like, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Donnie Brasco, where it's about an FBI agent who has to infiltrate the mob. And so he has a new name. Yes. But what he has to see, what he has to participate in, all the things that are required of him to infiltrate and build the trust, okay, screwed up his head. And
well,
so
it's not surprising, is it? I'm just imagine the people that have had to infiltrate these pedophile networks.
Oh my gosh. Like, so those people, there's been so many brave people that have been part of this movement, and we only get to see, like, you know, who's like front and center. But we have to remember there's so many people behind the scenes and the infiltration that had to take place. And I don't remember who it was that said, you know, infiltration is a very dirty business, you know, and you have to do things and be part of things that are pretty awful in order to do that job. So, you know, I think when people get frustrated, and yes, it's frustrating, or, you know, this is what I always feel. There's so much frustration right now. You know, prices are high and there's all this nonsense going on around us, but we're fighting for humanity at this point. And, you know, it's a war.
It is a war, but we are getting loads of hat tips and nods and stuff now, because Kirill Dmitriev, Putin's envoy, and General Flynn is really starting to smash out a load more comms. So this is becoming a lot more. And, you know, is Q going to post again? I've just seen Ron Watkins actually say 8kun doesn't work now. It's not active. He post out, and I've checked it. I can't get on it, so I don't know what's happening there. Whether that's been attacked or taken down, but anyone following Q and the Q team and stuff like that, if you think General Flynn's in it and some other people, they are putting these comms out at the time. I mean, he's put this today with a white rabbit there. Why would you put a white rabbit there?
Why would you do that?
You've got, he's basically just put 2478 there in a drop and drop for 24. Let the unsealing begin. Let the declass begin. Let the world witness the truth. We the people, justice under law, and all this other stuff. I mean, General Flynn reposted the stuff. This appears to be an order which new indictments are going to be rolled out. So we've had Comey and Letitia James so far. We all think John Bolton is going to be the next one, but Schiff, Brennan, Clapper, Hillary, Ray, you're going to start watching all this unfold. That's the one he's done. Anna Paulina Luna is... my office just received word from the Russian ambassador, Russia to the United States will be hand delivering the government's findings on who assassinated JFK to my office. And Kirill Dmitriev, we posted that from Liz Crokin. This is huge, and that's that's Putin passing the football. We've all famous. The ball's in your court. From dark to light. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy stuff. General Flynn. Yeah, people are just posting about this stuff all the time. General Flynn's putting out about digital soldiers must fight on the battlefield, not of our choosing. Camille Dmitriev, the storm is coming. And it's General Flynn. Flynn's there. I mean, Camille Dmitriev has posted where we go all so many times. Yeah. General Flynn is where we go all to someone's bracelet and stuff. This is, and he's posted where we go all a lot of times as well. That was Camille Dmitriev. That was, India and Russia and China. And that goes back to that Q drop, doesn't it? What if Russia and China and POTUS are all working together to take down the New World Order? There's plenty of these things. Yeah, I mean, that one there, the world will soon understand. Nothing can stop what is coming. And he's reposted that. It's brilliant. Brilliant stuff.
It really is. It really is. And I don't know do you ever experience like when you talk to people and obviously it feels like everything's gone to shit on the surface, for people who are normies and aren't really following. And I'll say, this is like the greatest time to be alive. Things are going to be like, there's going to be so much wonderful stuff that's happening. And they look at me like I'm nuts. They're like, why you say, and they're genuinely shocked. Like, I don't even feel judgment in that moment. I feel judgment when I talk about the pattern recognition stuff and what I think has happened. Then I get like the look like you're stupid. But when I say things like that, it's like there's this part of them that wants to believe that, but they just don't understand how it could be true. And then I start
because then you've also got to admit that you've been lied to forever. Don't forget.
I just think it's shock. Like I think it. I don't even think it goes that deep. I think it goes that deep when we start talking to them about a lot of the things that we know. But if you say to someone, "This is the greatest time to be alive," and the golden age is coming, they look at me like I'm crazy. But you could see there's something in their eyes that's saying, "Oh my God, I hope that's true."
Because they're starting to get it because of the seeds we've planted for like the last 8, 10, 15, 20. 25 years almost for me, and some people have been doing it a lot longer than that. And I haven't got any kids, but
you do because
I'm doing it for everyone else's children. I ain't gonna be about forever.
Exactly. We all have children. I don't want to talk. Okay, but we all have children because as a collective, the next generation, whether they came from your loins or not, is all part of the human family, and we're all connected in that way, and that's why I'm curious. I will tell you, like, I'm curious how the horrors with the children are going to, how that's going to come out. Like, I don't know.
What? How they're going to roll it out.
Yeah, like obviously we're hearing like on the news, oh, we took these people, and it's these small things like these, perverts or whatever that, had 5 children over here and we're doing this, and they're letting little things out, but to the extent and the worldwide virus that it really is, and all the how that ties in with Hollywood, and how, like, I'm curious how that's all going to roll out. Is it going to be people like Lewis Herms, who is the only candidate that I could ever think of that's actually addressing those issues on his platform, right? Who's ever done that?
Well, I don't know. I'd still like to see JFK Jr. come out, obviously, but the misinformation, disinformation in the Q shots, whatever. But it does say that crimes against children will unite humanity.
Yes.
And how they're going to roll it out, we might have this. Look, we might have 3 days or 10 days of darkness. Everything gets shut down apart from the EBS, and everyone's watching this 8-hour movie on repeat 3 times a day for 3 days or whatever like that. That is going to tell people, if that occurs. It does say it in drops 34 and 35 that this is what we're going to be initiating and stuff, and there's going to be a fallout. And this is what I think everything's ready for.
Yeah.
The fact that the military is everywhere now, you couldn't. Henry Kissinger said, didn't he, and stuff, you'll never see tanks and stuff rolling down the streets in Los Angeles and things like that, I think. But you've got the National Guard everywhere. They're cleaning it up. Trump said was it Trump? I think it was Trump. We sent the FBI into, was it Cash or someone? I don't know who it was. Oh, it might be Trump. We sent the FBI into Chicago 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's all quite,
and it's all the narrative, with
I mean, you're not seeing stuff on the streets, are you? Like BLM and Antifa and things like that. You've seen small pockets of it, but you're not seeing anything like it was in 2020 with George Floyd and all cities being burnt down and everything like that. You're seeing a load of these people lay down naked on bridges and stuff in Portland. That was an horrific sight, wasn't it? Really?
Oh, gross.
Like
but however, is that orchestrated? I mean, you'd have to have actors who don't mind doing a nudie scene, right? So,
well, there's them out there, no doubt. I wouldn't be involved in that.
But exactly. But my point is that, how do we know? And the thing is, they're using. That's why with the illegals, right? That's the excuse that they're, in the crime, but. It just, if you think about it, it doesn't make sense, but they're slowly, just like we don't know when all of these, fighting aged men were coming over the border, they've been setting this up for so long, and it's all following the plan that we've heard that it's supposed to follow. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just that it's not happening. Like, I think a lot of us thought it was going to be like, bam, and we were so disappointed, because if you remember back during the 2020, and the whole idea, like, oh, there won't be an election, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen, and everything's going to shut down. And everybody was looking at that happening so long ago. So people got like, oh, it's never going to happen. But then we see these little things that are happening. It's happening. It's rolling out. Right. And what is like, roll the camera. Like, that's what I think of, roll the camera, roll it out. And there's more going on, right? Because what is it? Like 80% will be.
Well, 80% covert, 20%
covert.
But I don't know. The guys were talking about it the other day, and it was Mike King, I think, Patriot Underground, and how this is going to potential outcomes and stuff like that. The worst outcome for me would be that they take all these people out the way, and everyone says this, to take all these people out the way, we move into a new golden age and nothing is revealed. I would hate that. I want to see what went on. I don't want to see people being hung, but I want to see these people being held accountable, and I want the truth to come out, and I want what they can tell us about the Q operation, especially if JFK Jr. comes out and all this.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know, like if you listen to Phil, like I don't know if he had a Q&A last week, right? And I think one of the questions was, are we going to ever see this? In his opinion, are we ever going to see this? And he said, oh yeah, and there'll be documentaries and stuff like that. So, but the question is when, right? You know what I'm saying? Is this going to be like we're going to see in the next year, or is it going to be like 10 years down the road? And 10 years really isn't a long time when you think about it. It's nothing. But for those of us that want to see this, and I don't even think a lot of us anymore, at least for I can speak for myself, there was a period of time, like, that Nino video that you showed on the forecast the other night, like that was me. I'm sure that was you. It was a lot of people. Like we were pissed. We were so pissed, and how we were, this divide and the vitriol that people had towards us because we didn't wear masks and we didn't comply, and we were, annoying because we were the cog in the wheel that was like, making everybody stop, just complying and being in their little comfort bubble and questioning the narrative. But I don't really feel that anger anymore. I don't know about you.
No, when I started podcasting, Mum used to tell me off for swearing, actually. Not that she watched much of my stuff. I don't watch that anymore. Bless her soul. I was like Jesse, yeah, in his garage. That's what I was like. I used to shout, scream, swear, all these sorts of stuff. I still swear now, but I used to really be quite vocal. Not about, the people that were asleep, but about Obama and Fauci and people like that. I really used to, all sorts used to come out of my mouth. And then my first Facebook got shut down, and it's sort of like that changed me, because I was, and it wasn't just me, people kept getting me involved in arguments because they got themselves into arguments on Facebook, and then people were asking them questions that didn't know the answers. So, Stu, come and help me out, will you? And these sorts of things. And I was just getting involved in all that crap, and I didn't want to do it anymore. And when my first Facebook got shut down and all that, I took a step back and I went, oh, and then I've been on Facebook like another 7 times doing different things. But each sort of time, I've dropped my level a bit. I've been a little bit more understanding and all that, taking the ego out of everything as much as humanly possible.
Yes.
Because that is, when you start learning to control your ego and these sorts of things and becoming more spiritual and stuff like that, things just fly off you. Right? When I was younger, I used to have to be every party. I didn't want to miss out or anything like that. And, being on your own, and it is, no one wants to be lonely and on their own, but being in your own company and doing what you do is far, far more attractive now than it used to be. In COVID, we've all found out who everyone is, who your real friends are, who really thought bad of you and stuff like that. Everyone showed themselves to be who they are. I've done, I don't know how many podcasts I've done now. Maybe I've done 500, 600, 700, 800 hours, something like that. I don't know. I put my face out there. I've never edited anything. And I know everything that goes on the internet is forever. And basically what you and I are doing now is we are podcasting to the people who want to listen, right? People want to catch up. But we are documenting history, right? For the future generations of what went on and what we went through and our experiences,
100%. What you said about the ego is very interesting because, I think that the vibration has been raising, right? However, that's been raising, whether it's us, the light workers and the people that are meant to do that, whether there's some interaction, from off planet to help to raise that, whatever the reason is, that's part of the reason that a lot of us have, and I'm not saying everyone, but you start to lose the ego. It's not really that you choose to do that. I think it's a natural thing that occurs as you start to move into a space of like seeing the bigger picture. So you get out of your bubble a little bit. But I also think what happens too, in sort of a converse way, is that as you lose your ego, I think you don't have time anymore to placate people perhaps that have been in your life. You're kind of like your throat chakra also opens and you just start speaking your truth. Now, it's not necessarily the way the ego does it, where it's, maybe trying to be better or trying to prove a point or trying to be right or, being the center of attention. But it is about very black and white. Like, this is how I see it. I expect certain boundaries to be met. If you can't meet them, then you don't really, like, you're not going to be in my life, like, no hard feelings. It's just, it doesn't work anymore because I'm not going to play certain games, or I'm not going to play into things that go against my value system. And I think that's part of what the truther movement is too, in a lot of these people, because people are just calling it as it is, with no apology. And when your ego's involved, I find you pick your words a little carefully. You're worried about what people think of you. No, you don't like me. You don't like what I say. Like, that's okay. And you're okay. That's your prerogative. And I don't hold that against you. I don't know if I want to hang out with you necessarily if we're kind of on different frequencies. And I'd rather be with people that are going to kind of challenge me, but I do think that's I think it's just the frequency change has really affected so many people.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's whatever that 4 to 6% means, and everyone's at different stages of awakening. Everyone will awake at some stage, and it's going to be horrific for some people that have ignored it for such a long time, when their friends and family and stuff has been telling them all this information. And but I do believe humanity is going to rise, and we are going to move into this golden age. And I do think we are going to start seeing tribunals and that definitely within this next 6 months, year.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
When's the 250th year celebration? Is that in sort of May of next year or something?
So it would be on 4th of July, right? Because that's when we celebrate our, our country's founding. So, so it would be from 1776, right? That was, I don't know, do the math. I'm not a math person. So 1776, right? Because the 200th was, right? The 200 was 1976. I remember that. I was
2026. Yeah, I just wanted the date.
And isn't that that's also what he's been talking about too, a lot, about that year-long celebration. And so what is that also, a calm? I mean, obviously there's the obvious, right, what we're celebrating, but I think it's much deeper what we're really going to be celebrating.
Yeah, well, Trump said 2024 is the final battle. 2025 is a year of celebration. We haven't really seen that started yet. But from, what all these people are saying and stuff, is that we are so close now to some massive event. And bring it on, I say. And look, I mean, we talk about the revaluation and things like that and whatever, but look at gold and silver. They are flying, aren't they?
They are. I mean, and you know what? Just like, not obviously, we never give financial advice or anything like that, but look at gold and silver and look at like the one of the most important cryptos out there right now, or I should say digital asset, XRP, right? It went crazy this week. It went so it dropped. It's kind of hovering a little bit like in the mid 2s. But the point is that these things, I believe, on some level with the digital assets, I think it's an opportunity for people to get in. I think it was it was manipulated very drastically, so people would take notice and say, hey, let me get in on that in whatever way I can. And I think the gold and silver, while it has jumped, I still think, listen, you can still, like, I know a lot of people that sell the digital assets, or there's minimums. Like Mel has a minimum, and that's how he works. But you don't have to work with Mel. If you have less money and you have less assets, then that's what it is. You shouldn't not do anything, I guess, is what my point is. Don't let it make you feel like, oh, if I can't do that, I can't do anything. $25, $50, like, when all this stuff starts to, even with silver, you can get silver coins. You don't have to get, you don't have to get like a whole bunch of it. Just get a little. I think that's what people need to realize. Like, just participate in whatever way you can, because when things start to really roll, and the transfer of wealth and the revaluation, it will be very difficult, to be part of it. But listen, think about Bitcoin, right? I'm not talking about, like, if it's good or it's bad or anything like that. I'm just talking about the pattern. If you could get it at $3 looking back, right? Even though some people got it at a penny, or if you could get it at $15 or even $50, right? It's at 110, so 1,000. So I think the more people, and I did a really great interview with Larry Ballard. It's on my Rumble, and I think it was in June, if I'm not mistaken. It was about
that's the name I was trying to remember, because I talk about Dr. Scott Young when he talks about Nasara stuff.
I love watching Dr. Scott Young.
Nino did a show with Larry Ballard, and then I was looking through your stuff, and I saw you'd interviewed him as well, and I forgot to mention that. But yeah, the interview he did with Nino was excellent. Very knowledgeable and stuff like that.
Larry is amazing, because what he does is he makes these slide.
Get him on a Tuesday show.
Yeah, I think he'll come. I think he'll come on. I'll talk to him. I'm going to be talking to him Friday. To see his schedule. He needed a week or two because he had some things going on that he had to wait. So I have him on Mel's show all the time, regularly, and he does these beautiful, well thought out, deep dive visual slideshows. And the one that he did, I would love him to come on, and he was talking about, in that instance that we were talking about, he wasn't talking about gold and silver. He was talking about, and he wasn't talking necessarily about digital assets. He was talking specifically about foreign currency and some of the currencies that have been, so destroyed, and what's going to happen when they revalue. So I think that, I don't know if that's the show you saw that that's one of the ones I did with him.
Yeah, I think around the same time you did it, that he did one with Nino, so he's probably doing the same presentation. But yeah, if we're going to do a Tuesday guest show, get everyone on. I want to listen to everyone.
Yeah.
So, that'd be great. And I think Ron's coming on this week. Is he next week?
Ron is this Tuesday coming.
Yeah.
And then I think that's the 21st?
Yeah.
And then the 28th is, I think we have Laura Eisenhower.
And then JP the following week, is it at the moment?
JP, I think is, yes, the 4th of November.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Whoever comes on, it'd be quite nice to just sit back and listen. Like we're listening to Frank talking about gene stem cells and stuff the other night in the forecast. That was interesting.
Oh my God, he's such a wealth of knowledge, right? In fact, I'm just sending my my boyfriend's son to him. Even these young kids, like, I'm seeing so much more. They are so much more open. Like, they don't want to just take a pill. They don't want to just have a quick fix. And it was so funny. We went to the gym last night, and he said, this is my boyfriend's son. He suffers a lot with disc problems. He was a hockey player. He's a firefighter. He's got a lot of things he needs to heal. And he said, like, I don't want to just take something that's just going to take the pain away. I want it to get to the core issue, and I think that also, if we go back to frequency, I think these kids are coming in to this incarnation smarter, higher vibration, more connected to source, they're more intuitive. You know, like I know these kids get like a bad rap because it's like, oh, they don't know how to socialize. They're always on their phones. They're always on their things. And yeah, maybe there's a part of that, you know, but
yeah,
I think for the most part, they're operating on a higher spiritual level.
That's my friend Haley just put a comment in there for you.
Oh, big heart to you.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah. Amazing. So I'm so glad. I mean, we're dotted all over the earth, aren't we? Us truthers and all that. We've all had to find each other and this sort of stuff, and we've all sort of like found our tribe, and it's good. I just can't wait for everyone, you know, to sort of be in it. You know,
Yeah.
I just want to go back a minute to what we were talking about, the media, the fact that with all this Antifa stuff and Pam Bondi coming out and the presser they did with all those journalists that have been mapping Antifa and stuff, people over there are watching the Democrats and the mainstream media and TV personalities, Jimmy Kimmel and these other serpents, lie to them in real time. There is no Antifa. I just want to play this. I'm just going to the toilet quickly, but I just want to play this Katie video, Defender of the Republic. It's only a couple of minutes long, but she goes into this really well and just shows you what they're sort of saying.
I rarely use Facebook, and it's because most of my feed is full of crazy people and those with TDS, the sheep who just...
Hang about, I've got it on 1.7 speed, like normal. Let me just go back and do that again.
I rarely use Facebook, and it's because most of my feed is full of crazy people and those with TDS, the sheep who just get fed all of their propaganda from the television. So the latest thing they've been posting is this. And here's the brainwashing they've been fed this week.
There's no Antifa. This is an entirely imaginary organization. There is not an Antifa.
Like, I don't even know what Antifa is. There is no group.
It's not even like far-right groups like the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. Compared to right-wing extremists, Antifa-linked violence is rare and limited.
It isn't an organization. It is in many ways mythology.
It's not like the Proud Boys or the Oath Keepers, you know, sort of defined terrorist organizations with leadership that leads violence.
It's not a highly organized movement. It's a moniker. It's not a unified group like the Proud Boys are.
Things like Antifa are things that are thought up.
It's all in this guise of going after Antifa, which is nothing. There's no organization called Antifa.
Nobody's a member of Antifa because it doesn't exist. They are just declaring into existence something that doesn't exist.
There is no Antifa organization, so maybe that's good for social media, but it really is non-existent.
They exist on the internet in chat rooms and in 4chan and Discord and places like that, where they run discussion boards, trade tactics, documents, things like that. But none of them are called Antifa.
It only takes a few minutes to research the truth, but they'd rather be fed the lies.
Exactly. And, you know, people are witnessing this, aren't they?
Yeah.
The people that still watch the news are starting to see. Take a long time. But, I think that there's no way they're not saying anything about it. It's like the silent majority, the people that vote won't tell you they voted for. You know, they don't speak up about it. They just do their thing and get on with their lives. But I know a lot of people are side-eyeing stuff now. So.
Well, it's interesting because some of those people, if you remember, some of them tested positive for COVID. Like Whoopi was one of those people who tested positive. And so I think now you need to have this sort of controlled opposition, because it's interesting to see their audiences who's going, what are they talking about? You know, like you need to have that's coming from them. So now they go from being the people that are out there promoting this ridiculous narrative to now people who are starting to look stupid. Again, is it part of the shaming? You know, because now people are realizing they're not as gullible as they were 8 years ago, or even 4 years ago. But I was going to say something about that video that we were just watching. Oh, I just saw something. Did you see the post about the woman? I don't watch The View. I don't know who's on it. I know like Whoopi and Joy Behar, but I don't know the other people because they've changed through the years. But somebody just said that's on there that she's going to be wearing a MAGA hat or something like that. Like she's saying she's going to. I have to find.
Oh, no, I did see that clip. Someone said, I will put a MAGA hat on.
Yeah.
I can't remember what that was about.
I think I saw it, if I'm not mistaken, either on yours or my Telegram channel. It was just a little like I think it was a tweet?
See, I post a lot of Damon Imani videos. You know who that is, don't you? He's the guy that and cuts it all out and just. He's excellent what he's done over like the last few years, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember what they were talking about.
It was just like she just put out
if it was peace in the Middle East or something, I would put a MAGA hat on or something like that.
Yeah, Lloyd, I don't know the context either, but my point is they're slowly. This is what they had to do, and I remember I don't know where it was said or who I heard talking about this, but it was always said that how are they going to really start to unbrainwash people, because it's going to be the people that the brainwashed watched that are going to change their narratives.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've said. It's like keep watching the news then, people, because they will be the people that have lied to you are going to be the ones that are going to red pill you.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I didn't catch the whole story that the post was, but I think I sent you a picture with Marco Rubio. Did you see that thing I sent you? And I was like, that doesn't look like Marco Rubio.
No, I'm sure I saw it, and then I didn't look at it.
I don't know, whatever his role is now.
Yeah, well, I mean, Trump's really bigging him up, isn't he? But when Trump first put Marco Rubio in, all the truthers were going, no, that's a bad move. When pretty much what he's done since is pretty decent, isn't it? All the way through, but there you go. You can't really. Hold it. Is that it? Hold up. I think I've just found a clip.
Have you found it?
When I say I'm not.
I promise I will.
My point when I say I'm not going to be apocalyptic, it's not changing a tune. It's not making every single thing a 5-alarm fire. Yeah. If he does good, if he gets the Israeli hostages out, I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day on the show and say, thank you for doing it. Yeah. She'll knock it right off my head. But like you have to be able to cheer for wins when they happen and then call out relentlessly the wrongdoing. Well,
yeah.
I literally get like nauseous. I was in this was a couple, maybe 2 years ago, and I had to go into a doctor's office for some nonsense. And we got to pick up a document or something. And they had The View on, but I had to like wait, and I went up to the desk. I'm like, I'm going to have to go. Can you please change that? Then I was in my nail salon. They had, I think they just like whatever. They have a channel on, and then it just goes from show to show to show, and they're like not really paying attention. And I walked in and I said, if you're going to leave that on, I'm going to have to come back later. And she's like, oh, no problem. Like they weren't investing in it. I literally get like, I want to beat the shit out of those women. Now, are they now controlled? Which I think they are. But there was a time where they were not controlled, and they were running their mouths with such disgusting hate and such anti-American and anti-freedom narratives that you just wanted to literally just kick the shit out of them.
Fucking vile they were. Yeah. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg, honestly, used to be one of my favorite actresses.
Me too. She's talented. She's funny. Yeah. when she speaks, she always spoke very articulately. You know what I mean? She didn't do the whole like, in the hood kind of thing. She was very articulate. She expressed herself. She played great roles. And then it's like, what the hell is going on?
Is she playing a role? Has she been playing a role for the last 8 years?
I don't know. I would have to throw up though if I had to play that role.
You know, has she? We see, we don't know yet. That's the beauty of it. You know, it's like we are watching the biggest whodunit in history. You know, and we're watching it unfold live. It's like, imagine the Great Awakening box set. How many episodes has that been? You know, I've done 600-700 hours or whatever I've done. If it's all together, and we are going to get, you know, I don't believe that they will reveal everything they did in the Q operation. I think we're going to get a lot of it, or the fact that just saying Q is 100% real, and we have been pulling off this military operation for the last 17 years, or whatever they want to say. I will be going, you know, I won't need to know the ins and outs of it in case they've got to do it again some stage in history, do you know?
Yeah.
But
I mean, God willing, never again. But you're right, you know.
Yeah.
And plus, listen, if we're honest, right? The white hats were whatever you want to say, a very formidable enemy. And in order to fight that kind of enemy, I'm sure they've had to do things, right? It's casualties of war. It's making decisions. Do they really want to ever let the people know some of the unfortunate things they had to do because there was no choice, because the casualties that could have happened would have been that much greater? I mean, so they should, I just don't think that some things need to come out, because you don't want to, it would just wound people. You know what I'm saying? And to what end? If everything is going in the direction we needed to, you know, if people really understand where we would have been and what their plan really was, you know, and I know that's easy to say because maybe I wasn't affected in some way. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't, some of the things that have happened that we don't know, were they good guys, bad guys? You know, I you know, at this point haven't sustained a loss, you know, in my life. I mean, aside from maybe losing relationships, right? But so it's easy for me to say, you know, but at the same time, how do you win a war with such an evil enemy?
yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, COVID got everyone involved, didn't it? Even though a lot of people don't think they were part of it, people had to endure that, and that was a minor thing from what they were going to do to us.
Right.
A lot of people think that's one of the worst things that's ever happened. You know what I mean? When they find out. But COVID got everyone involved.
Worldwide.
Across the world.
Nobody was immune to it. I mean, I guess unless you were living off the grid somewhere with no TVs, no media, like, you know what I'm saying, where you weren't affected in the same way every day, and you were like somewhere in the jungle or the forest.
Yeah.
Other than that, it touched everyone, every age, I mean, the most painful thing for me during that whole time was dropping my kids off at school and watching them with those fucking masks. It was so heartbreaking for me. These young kids, you know, 13, 14, 15, you know, just, they couldn't just be kids. They're masked up in school all day. They're separated. They have things that are like segregating them for I mean, that's where like it hit me very. Mothers walking around with little babies with masks on, like that drove me just violently crazy. But it affected, like you said, you and I, we didn't comply, but you were affected somehow by somebody who you couldn't convince that they shouldn't get the jab, somebody that you were trying to explain, like, don't wear that mask. Like, so it affected every person.
Yeah, it did. Maybe that was the point.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everyone will remember what everyone did during that time, and people will either, I'm proud of what I've done, no one could ever say to me I didn't do enough. Right? A lot of people didn't do anything.
Yeah.
No, and a lot of people bought it 100% and things like that. But that, when the truth comes out about that, that is going to be a major moment in everyone's life, across the Western world and all these places that were involved, isn't it? Because
don't forget,
everyone's got to look at themselves in the mirror, haven't they?
Well, absolutely. But you just said that when it comes out, but again, it's coming out in drips. Like, first you have where they're showing you who Anthony Fauci is, right? That was the first little, and maybe not the first, but that was part of it. Then all of a sudden they're saying, well, the vaccine really doesn't work. You need to get boosters. So again, it wasn't just one big bucket of ice over the head. It was like these little things. And I watched some of the people who were so taken with this whole thing going, are they kidding? Like, you'd see them start to awaken. It doesn't work. Well, what do we do? And these were people who were deathly afraid, that they were going to get this virus and all these kinds of fears that they had. What I wanted to ask you? I'm looking at the list that you put together that we talked about.
Can you see the comment section?
Can I? Let me see. Let's see what we got.
I'm not putting that on the screen.
Oh God, that is so true. That is, crazy.
So then we're going to ask me something.
I was going to say, you put in here about Act Blue and Sean Taylor.
Yes. Now, did you say you've met Sean Taylor or interviewed him?
Yes. So Sean Taylor was one of our speakers at the Quantum Summit 2 that we had in March in Cape Canaveral, Florida, Mel's event.
Yeah.
And he was wonderful. I mean, because that event had something from every area. It was digital assets, it was financial system, it was galactics, aliens, it was, the trafficking. Like, we had someone from, and more, health and wellness. And so it was multi-pillared in who was there. And he talked a lot about what he's dealt with child trafficking in Tennessee. And his presentation was amazing. Like, you could literally hear a pin drop. When you go to these events, sometimes it's quiet, it's polite, but you still hear people talking. This was like silence. And he was explaining a lot of the dots connecting, with all of what's happening and being in law enforcement, not only what he personally has witnessed, been involved in, trying to find these people, but even the personal, just the personal toll that putting his own life in danger, trying to go up against this. I can try to reach out to him again. I know he's very busy, and I know
I saw him on, he was doing an interview with Nina, and I watched that, and obviously he was talking about Act Blue. Now, quite a while ago, we all found out that anyone donating to BLM, right, the money was going, well, apart from the money the organisers took and built houses and bought houses with and stuff like that and frittered away, a lot of that money was going for a company called Act Blue straight into the Democratic Party, wasn't it? Now, Sean Taylor was saying he was discussing with Nino all about all this mortgage fraud that's gone on and sort of house prices basically and stuff, how they do it and how they inflate all this. It's an excellent interview if people want to go and watch that. But this is why house prices, I think, have because they're doing it everywhere. It's not just the States. I think they're doing it everywhere. And
you're talking about the laundering and using the houses to
how
the money.
How they would buy 10 houses in a district for
like an absurd amount of money, right?
Yeah, like $1 million each, and then buying 10 houses in the district for like another $1 million each, and then buying houses in the district for 100,000 each, and all that. And it's all to inflate the prices. So all these people now that got £500,000 house, I'm talking UK money, obviously, potentially the house is only worth 100,000 because house prices shot, didn't they? Shot up. And stuff like that. This is why so many people are struggling to live. The rents over here are outrageous. Landlords, they're all like funny handshakes and brown paper envelopes, and it's, isn't it? They're all getting like concessions, and
it's awful. And it's just the whole debt system, the way it's just the rents over here are so. Listen, when I was in school, I was in college. You graduated college, maybe you stayed home for a year with your parents, maybe, and then you went and got an apartment with a bunch of friends, one roommate, two roommates, a few, and you started your adult life. These kids can't do anything. I mean, you can't even get a freaking cup of coffee. Or a drink, $6 for a freaking drink. And then, if you're a nice person, you give a tip. Right? You want to, like, the barista, the people that are working there, you throw another $1 for a tip. Like, that's why this all has to, start to come to an end because there's no way this new generation can possibly function in the matrix the way it's been.
Yeah.
And I think I was bitching to you the other day because, I have a mortgage on my house, which, I don't even use that word. I say death grip all the time. And I go to pay it. I'm like, why is it $200 more? Like, what happened? And it's like, oh, well, your school taxes, your this tax, because my taxes are rolled into my mortgage. I was literally, you would have cracked up. I get this girl on the phone. First of all, it took me 2 days to get someone on the phone. Okay. Their customer service system sucks. So I'm sending emails, everything is contact us, use this number, use this email. I'm stuck in voicemail hell. Like, I'm losing it. I have other things to do. I can't sit on the phone. Then I get, they're going to connect me to someone. It's 20 minutes. Anyway, by the time I got this poor girl who was so sweet and so nice, I'm like, she goes, how are you today? I go, I'm going to tell you the truth. I said, I'm on a recorded line, right? Oh, yes. I said, good. I said, because who's ever listening, please listen carefully. I said, your customer service system sucks. I said, I don't have the time to waste. I said, and on top of it, I said, if you aren't aware, even though you work there, everything you're doing is completely illegal. My mortgage was paid off the second I did it from my trust. And I'm telling the girl, I'm like, take note of what I'm saying. I said, and now you're going to charge me, and you're going to charge me interest. I said, this is absurd. And we just went on. And then anyway, I get it all out of my system. And I'm like, okay, I'm really sorry. You're being very polite and nice. Tell me what's going on. And she tells me it's about these taxes. And I'm like, I got to check into the religious trust. Because remember, Mel was talking about it on the forecast the other day. Because even if the system's going to change, which we know and we believe and everything, like, when is it actually going to be official? Is it another year? Is it 2 years? Is it 2 months? I don't know. So I just feel like, you know what? I'm done. I am so done with this BS. And it's every time you get ahead, you know what I mean? Like, I'm finally in a position. I'm like, okay, so that's like what my budget is, and this is what I could do. And then it's like, okay, another like $200. Like, where does that come from? Right? It comes from what you want to do to enjoy yourself. Right? That's where it's going to come from. It's not going to like come from another bill. I'm not going to pay my phone bill so I can pay my mortgage. Right? So it comes out of the ability for us to do what's fun, to do what's enjoyable, to do something nice for our family or our children. And it's just this constant hamster wheel.
Yeah. It's been so difficult. Well, that's why a lot of people, had that and things like that. And it has been horrific. this last 5 years, but it was going to be a lot worse.
Yeah. And
So,
I think so even with all my bitching and carrying on, I do feel so excited about where we are and where we're going.
Even that, though, with bills and payments and food going up and stuff like that, that in itself should make people go, hold up, what's going on? I'm not having it. But many people don't. They just carry on and they bite their tongue and just go with the flow. And
no, it's so true. And I go to business meetings and you have like professionals, nice people, hardworking people. They just say, oh, this tax law changed and this changed and this, and it's just like they just accept it. And I was,
but they're the fuckers that can afford it, aren't they?
Well, whether they can or they can't, because don't forget they have bills too, and they have kids in college, and they have all this stuff. But the point is, I said to one of the attorneys, he was telling me about this new law that was going to affect New York State. I said, I don't mean any disrespect by this. Like, you're explaining to me how this is changing and how business owners have to adhere to this and adhere to that. I said, you guys are the first line of defense. Are you fighting against this? Because like, I don't know this because I'm not tuned in. I'm going to hear it from you. You're going to educate me. Are you? And he said apparently a bunch of them were. But I was like, why does everybody just take these changes? Who's making the changes? Get them fired. Find out what's like. It's just a sense of complete, okay, I got to go this way, right? I'll go that way. Okay. And then when I open my mouth, I have certain people that I'm friends and business associates with, and they're like, oh, you're such a pain in the ass. Okay. All right. Follow the rules then. God bless you. Have fun, because I'm not.
Yeah. Same as that. I salute you, madam. Right, what else? I was going to say, talk about Uri Geller, but did you see that? It's only a quick thing. He put a video out, didn't he, to Trump not to go flying. So whatever he knows and stuff. A lot of people are getting their YouTubes back, aren't they? I got my, after saying to you that I set up a new account and that being shut down the following day without me putting anything on it, I then went and found my login details of my old one because of what Brad Zerbo was saying on the DEFCON with the other two. I know it wasn't Q after hours. And so I just sent in an appeal and I had my old YouTube back within about 2 hours. But it's got a load of content missing, about 80 videos. I think there's about 50 on there, 60 on there, something like that. So, and there's no way to contact them now. I've tried to go on YouTube and go in the where you can send them a review or something like that. I've even put comments in there, hoping they get through, with my link and stuff like that. But no one's got back to me. But I'm not bothered about YouTube. I think this is going out on YouTube now. I don't know where Hayley is messaging from, whether she's watching on Twitter, Rumble, or YouTube.
Well, we dropped a lot of alleged things today, and we didn't say it was alleged. So I'll be interested to see what happens with my YouTube. I'm almost doing it like a test because, we didn't hold back. We didn't change words. We didn't use arm signals, all that stuff. But what I wanted to tell you and what people should know is that, we had like 45 podcasters that were on Dear Mr. President, and part of it telling their 45-second opinions and thoughts and experiences. And obviously 45 seconds is not enough time to do anything. So we are now doing the podcaster's journey where, I'm interviewing on Mel's show all the podcasters to have more time to tell their story, talk about what happened, their journey, their, what their kind of call to action would be to people, to fight against this. And now the new added part is going to be, okay, now a lot of people are starting to get their old channels reinstated. So what do we do now? Like, what's the next step? How do we, what do we make of that? So we have to have you on. I have to have you on. I have to do an interview for him to be part of that whole thing where it's like, getting everyone to really have their voice on our show, because you only had for like 45 seconds, on that movie.
Well, I had 2 bits actually, but he cut 17 seconds off my 45 seconds, so I didn't get to say "Dear Mr. President" and stuff like that. And I watched it, and I was like, and Mel said
You
the
were
other
censored by the censorship movie.
I was censored on the censorship movie, and then and I was watching it like that, I was going, oh, like that, and then I came on again, and Mel said, oh, cojones, capiche, and he said, I think that's the best clip in the movie, so I'm quite happy with that. Anyway, it's not a problem. I did, when I tweeted the film out, I did tag Donald Trump on Twitter saying, I did say, "Dear Mr. President, sir," or something like that, whatever. But
yeah,
they see everything, don't they? They have got, you don't think Trump's walking about with his phone sending out tweets and stuff, do you? There's a massive military operation monitoring all these Hillary and fucking Tom Hanks and fucking everyone else.
Of course.
All, you know.
So let me ask your opinion of something before we go, because we've been on here over 2 hours. Do you think the president has seen Dear Mr. President?
Probably.
Yeah, I believe so too.
Oh yeah, but it's like I said the other day, and I mean, I know we're in a movie about censorship and Dear Mr. President, and we're all being censored, but you and I both agree that the white hats had to do a lot of it, and that doesn't hinder in any way, shape or form us wanting to put that out there, because it's the people that watch that film. Do you know what I mean? Whether it goes to Trump or not. And who did Mel posted earlier that John McAfee still alive.
Yeah, what was that, like AI? Like I could.
I think everything is AI. I can just play that if you like.
Yeah, play it, because where did that actually come from?
Well, it looks AI to me. I do think McAfee is alive.
I do too, but I don't know if he's going to come out and do it, a video like that.
I mean, I haven't seen many of his videos the last couple of years, but do you remember he was making videos? He was in like a Faraday cage tent and putting stuff out and all these sorts of things. And he's a very intelligent man, because he gave everyone, all them Democrats and Republicans and whoever else, free laptops, didn't he? With all that software in it. I think they were monitoring everything they were doing. But yeah, this is a little video that came out today. Now, it possibly is AI, but he mentions Dear Mr. President, so it's all good, whatever, isn't it?
John McAfee here. Yeah, I'm still alive, still breathing, still raising hell. I just stumbled across this wild documentary called Dear Mr. President. And let me tell you, it's not just a film, it's a spark. It's a mirror held up to censorship, tyranny, and the digital chains they've built around your mind. Shout out to AMTV and General Green. You guys are out there doing what real journalists should be doing, tearing holes in the curtain. And me, I'm still here, still watching, still fighting from the shadows. At some point, you'll see me out there again, louder, freer, and more dangerous than ever. Stay awake, my friends.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Oh, there's stuff on it.
It's kind of cool, because Mel actually posted it like in our little group that we have, and
yeah, I saw it in there, and I posted that from there. Yeah, excellent. Well, it's all exposure, isn't it? Whether that's, see, the trouble is, you and I looked at that, and the first thing both of us said is that AI? I mean, I've seen myself speaking 7 languages other than English now.
Crazy, right? You're talking about Dear Mr. President that was translated into all those languages,
and it's insane. This, it's anyone could take anything off this podcast probably and make us put us out there as saying.
Oh yeah.
But the good point about putting your face out and everything you've done in the past is that people will go, "We've never said anything like that in the past." Do you know what I mean? That seems really out of character. It's that AI. That's one of the reasons I like to put my face out there and be true to myself and fucking honest and swear and, be who I am all the time rather than trying to be someone else.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Have you watched much of Bo Pony lately?
Not lately. I mean, I know him and I follow him.
Well, he's obviously very exaggerated and dramatic, and oh, come on, this is it, Nino, and stuff like that. But obviously, we've all heard about. Well, everyone's coming out and saying we're close, we're getting there. These military movements, people talking about the RV and stuff like that, gold and silver going up, and these sorts of things. But Bo works off biblical dates and stuff like that, and he's got a lot of stuff right. And he's saying, we are really coming into it now. But you've obviously heard about these 10 days that have been missing, and the switch from the Gregorian to the Julian calendar.
Yes.
Sort of stuff. So that may well all be coming into play soon. I'm just so excited for what is coming, even though it could scare the absolute shit out of everyone first. Maybe that's what it's going to take.
I think it has to, right? Because when do people wake up? They wake up from nightmares. Generally.
Yeah, exactly. And a near-death experience is...
Absolutely. I mean, I was trying to think, like, what could this be, right? We've all heard a lot of things. There's the whole alien invasion thing. I don't know. I don't understand. See, this is, if they're trying to scare all of us, let's just say, even the awakened, why would they be how can I say this? The aliens wouldn't warn us. They just invade. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, all right. So that's one thing. All right. Maybe the average person might get afraid of that. I don't know. I mean, listen, if I didn't believe in other races, and all of a sudden, like, I saw a reptilian walking down the street, it would scare the living shit out of me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it wouldn't scare me, like, even if I knew, but if it's some kind of, like Project Bluebeam or whatever it is, like, I'm not going to believe it,
if Trump says
war, a cataclysmic thing that they tell us, something's going to bash into the earth and we're going to all be destroyed. I mean,
if Trump says we will never telegraph our moves to the enemy, you don't think some invading alien species who's far more advanced than us is going to let us know? Hello, it's us in AI Atlas. Right, we're on our way.
But what could be really scary to everyone? I think, like, even us, if we're not talking about it and conjecting it, if they said, like, this space stuff, like that there's a what do they call those things? A comet. I don't know what they're called. Whatever something, an asteroid. Thank you. Is going to hit the Earth and it's going to, like, implode the Earth. Like, that's pretty scary.
It is, but I would go bring it on. Then I'll be looking out the window.
No, I don't mean us. I'm saying, like, that could be a very scary near-death experience.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Exactly.
A tsunami, like, remember when that piece of land was supposed to fall off wherever it was and it was going to wipe out the whole east coast of the United States?
They could even do that, right? Say someone is going to hit the earth. They could. People are going to believe what they see on their television still.
Yes.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. Scare, necessary event. We've talked about it might have already happened. Or is it going to happen? I don't know. But...
I mean, was COVID the scare event?
Well, people do say that, but if COVID was a scare event, it didn't do the proper job, did it? Because if you had another, Fauci was out in July, wasn't he, going, we're going to have another one.
Right.
Fucking rat-faced weasel. He was saying that, and if that happened, some bird flu scare or something else, or some, bubonic plague or something like that, not everyone, lots more people would stand up. We're not doing it now, or side-eyeing it, things like that. But a lot of people would be straight back in there, staying in their houses, masked up, washing their potatoes. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever.
Boxes, cardboard boxes, washing those.
Going out in rubber gloves and snorkels.
I have a really dear friend, and I love her and I would do anything for her, and she's done anything I've ever asked her to. But we were invited to go there for one Thanksgiving. It was just me and my girls. and she had to unfortunately uninvite us because everybody just was too nervous that was coming over, like her family, to have any guests.
Well, because of the
No, just because of COVID.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah.
You know, I was like, are you kidding me? But, you know, I felt bad, like she was getting pressure, you know what I mean? So what are you going to do? You're not going to make somebody, especially that you care about, you're not going to make them feel bad, because it was a whole, like, older people, you know, they scared the crap out of the older people, right?
It would be interesting to
you don't sit in your basement masked up, 40 shots, you're going to die.
It would be fucking interesting to do a dig into all the companies that owned and made plexiglass, right? To see if that was
the savior of 2021. I love those videos that people have put together with what people look like, with the things over their heads, and that is so funny. I wish that one I never saved. I wish I had saved that one where they're like the plexiglass and
I think I've got a couple of pictures.
Oh my God.
In my classic.
I have to tell you while you're looking for it. I had a doctor's appointment one time during that whole time, which I wanted to shoot myself, that I had to go. And my doctor walks in, and she comes in with a mask, one of those plastic thing, like the thing over her face. She is covered. Ready for this? What she's wearing? Tissue paper. It was yellow. Like, I did a double take. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is happening in this world?
I know, it's absolutely crazy, isn't it? I can't find these photos. No, I thought they were in my classics album.
Well, those were classic.
Yeah. I'll dig them out for next time. All right.
Good laugh.
Hilarious. Jabbed. Let's put jabbed. Just a couple of pictures. I'm not taking any risk with Omicron and stuff like that. If I had more time now, that'd be hilarious. Now, I've only got, talking about COVID, let's just play this clip, right? Okay. This is what we were talking about last time about General Milley. And this was in the 2020 presser. Now, and we're talking about the going against the cartels and stuff, right? They're going against them now. But Milley said in 2020, were they going against them before? But does anyone really think this clip, this is a COVID presser, is anything to do with COVID?
Thank you, Secretary, for those words. And thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership. And I want to publicly thank Admiral Craig Fowler, the commander of U.S. Southern Command out of Miami, for leading this operation, which is underway effective today. And also Admiral Gilday, the Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Schultz, for their contributions to this from their services. There's thousands of sailors, Coast Guardsmen, soldiers, airmen, Marines involved in this operation. We came upon some intelligence some time ago that the drug cartels, as a result of COVID-19, were going to try to take advantage of the situation and try to infiltrate additional drugs into our country. As we know, there's 70,000 Americans die on an average annual basis to drugs. That's unacceptable. We're at war with COVID-19, we're at war with terrorists, and we are at war with the drug cartels as well. This is the United States military. You will not penetrate this country. You will not get past Jump Street. You're not going to come in here and kill additional Americans. And we will marshal whatever assets are required to prevent your entry into this country to kill Americans. So right now the Navy has marshaled additional Gray Hull ships from both PACOM and EUCOM and for the Naval Fleet at Norfolk. And they are set sail already, and they are in the Caribbean right now. In addition to that, there's 10 Coast Guard cutters, and there's Special Operations Forces and Security Force Assistance Brigades, along with Air Force reconnaissance aircraft. The bottom line is you're not going to get through. Now is not the time to try to penetrate the United States with illegal drugs to kill Americans. With the United States military, we will defend our country regardless of the cost. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Secretary.
Now, I watched that as well. And when I saw that initially, we know what Milley's done in the meantime, and people talk about him being a traitor and arrests and stuff like that. I can't see that. Can you? From that?
No, and I was looking at his eyes.
That
and
is
I was
someone
looking at his face.
Yeah.
And I was trying to find some kind of tell that he was lying, like lying meaning like he's a bad guy. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I don't see it. I mean, listen, he's a 4-star general. I know there was bad ones, you know, but I just didn't get that feeling.
Well, he was we used to see the videos of Trump going into, you know, bases and stuff like that, just turning up to meet the troops and these sorts of things. Milley was with him a lot of the time. Now, I know you keep your friends close and your enemies closer, but it's a little bit different, isn't it, when it's people in the military that are. If Milley wanted to take Trump out, right, and jump him or anything like that, being one of the bad guys, he probably could have done, couldn't he? Right? Yeah. But Trump, you want strong people around Trump. You know, I know he's had some weasels around him. Whether they was actually Fauci, do you know what I mean? Or whether.
But here's the thing, too. You said Milley was with him when he would visit the troops. Now, maybe I'm making a big assumption, but we know how much Trump feels about our military and the soldiers. And a lot of times when he's doing a reveal, he's doing it to wake people up. So why would you take someone that was bad for something like that? Like, that's where you're honoring them. Like, you don't, it wasn't an operation to kind of wake those, it wasn't an operation at the time to wake those guys up, right? It was, and gals, it was a time like with COVID and some of these other things, they were trying to wake the people out of the slumber. So if you're going to honor and visit, I think you would take someone that had the right energy to go into that area who genuinely cared about the soldiers, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, let's see what happens. Well, I've only got one more thing written down here.
Oh, I have another thing that I thought of that I just saw that I wanted to ask you.
You do yours first.
What do you think of Jared Kushner?
I think he's the same as Milley. I think he's one of us.
Because there was a
thing. Did you see the video of the guy talking the other day, and he was talking about Netanyahu, right? And all the crowd started booing and all that. And Jared Kushner and Ivanka were standing behind him laughing. You saw that, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, because, okay, do you remember back, I guess it was during the 2020 election, when they said he was banned from the White House? Do you remember that, when that was said? But then he was part of the peace talks, you know, that were going on at that time with the, I guess it was
Abraham Accords.
Abraham Accords, yeah. But his family, you know, if you do deep dives into that, there's some questionable stuff about them. Again, it's one of those things, like, it would be an interesting, a deep dive. I don't know. I'm sure people have done it. I have never watched it, but it would be he would be a very interesting deep dive.
Yeah, and he definitely splits the crowd, doesn't he? Oh no, mouse isn't working. That's it, got it back. Yeah, he definitely splits the crowd, so we'll wait and see. But
so there was a meme today. There was a post today. That's why I brought it up. I don't know if you saw it, if it was on my Telegram or someone else's channel. I can never keep track of what. I didn't personally post it, and it would had him talking about, like, it had like a negative connotation. If I remember correct. So again, is he Milley? You know, like that type of what we're trying to say Milley is.
Yeah, I mean, even people say that about Ivanka, don't they? Trump's daughter. That, you know, but these. I can't say the people that are that close. I know you keep your enemies closer, but they've got a very strong circle there. And I can tell you that I believe that the White Hats already know who everyone is.
Yeah. Oh, no question about that.
You know, they know.
We're the ones, right, who don't know and trying to figure out.
Even that
They
stuff,
must be laughing at us. Like, seriously, it must give them a good laugh, not like not in a nasty way, but just a laugh. Like, it's like when you watch your children and they're trying to figure things out, and you know already, and they're trying, like, you see young kids, like little kids, and they don't get it, and they're trying to figure things out, and it's like you laugh because you're like, oh, they don't see the whole picture yet. And I'm sure that they get some good laughs out of some of the theories that we've all come up with, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, definitely. Look, we've been, I'm sure we've been wrong about a lot of stuff, but I like to discuss it and talk about it. And this is why I say to people, always have an open mind. You know, one of the things I always used to say in like 2010, 2012, I was saying to people, and I've mentioned this before, don't join the military, because this is how they're going to take us out. And now I know I've had to change my opinion on that completely, because without Q and this military global alliance, they couldn't have taken these fuckers out, you know. And so we all learn, and yeah, what a learning curve. But it's all turned us into better, more lovable and loving people.
Like to hope so, right?
Yeah, I think so. So we have seen the media constantly berate Trump. Can't spell coffee, Kovefi, and these things.
Everything.
Falls downstairs. You know, all this stuff. They've absolutely fucking ripped him to shreds. Why do the media say absolutely nothing at all when Trump says things like, I am your 45th, 46th, and 47th president? Why do they just swerve it? Why is there no mention of it at all? Yeah. Is that because most of the media are already on side?
Yeah, I agree. I think the nonsense we're seeing on the media still is probably in some way controlled.
Yeah, a lot of it.
And I don't think me personally, I don't think they have the same the level of power they did. Are they completely, eradicated? Maybe not, I don't know, but I don't think I think a lot of it is much more deliberate and again, central casting, where there's a script of some kind, or, I was thinking about these. I don't know if I was talking to you or someone else. I was looking here in New York. We still have so many ads to go get your flu shot, go get your, you could get your COVID-19 and all this stuff. And if they're doing so much work to save humanity, why would they allow at this point for any of these shots to have anything bad in them, right? That's my opinion of it. Yeah. And if they would, so then why would you be advertising this? So obviously there's a couple of reasons. One, people expect it. They're still in that mode. They still think they need this, right? But could it also be that is the litmus test? Because they can keep track of how many people come in for their shots. And they can keep track of, especially in like a place like New York, which is very, very asleep, and very, very left.
Are you sort of saying that that's a way of gauging the awakening?
Yes. Yes. So now, last year, X number of people got their flu shots, and this year it's at this number. So how else can you tell how awakened a population is? You have to do something that they were brainwashed to do, and then see how many people are no longer doing that thing for which they were brainwashed. So that's what I think. And we still have big pharma ads running and all this stuff. So I think they're using it as a gauge where they, when we hear these things like, oh, only 20% of people are awake. How do you know that? Yeah. I didn't get a survey. So they probably are using those methods and maybe others that we don't know about,
Loads of methods, different methods.
Yes.
Over the whole thing.
But wouldn't you think so? Especially if we've heard through the grapevine that, that there's saline in most of the vaccines. And I'm going to assume, okay, that children, if you're trying to save children all around the world, and that is the core of what a lot of this mission was about, why are you going to keep poisoning them with vaccines?
Exactly. No, that's a brilliant point. The fact that everything is saline now, potentially, hopefully, we pray, and you know, they're like, fucking hell, this geezer's just got in for his 17th. Do you know what I mean? And things like that. But it's like, look, even family members to me now who've had 2, 3, 9, whatever, are saying, even a year ago, I'm never getting another one of them fucking things, even though they've had no side effects. You know, I'm never getting another one of them. Start asking me questions about gold, silver, or have you seen the sky lately, what they're doing up there? Yeah.
Yeah.
These are questions I've been asked in the last year from people that are close.
Yeah. So like you said, they're using so many different tactics but I can't. Yeah. And then of course they're now putting Borla in the forefront. Right?
Yeah.
So they have to keep the narrative, if you will, of the big pharma going until, you know, that doesn't serve its purpose, or it's visually brought down and brought to its knees and humiliated, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, BB Maguire was saying, you know, that Pfizer deal they've had in, but they're all being brought in. J&J, you know, Moderna, all these sorts of things, they'll all be coming in. This is the pharma capitulation tour, you know, and let's see what happens. But it is a brilliant thing. And I just, you know, what you were saying there about, you know, the media again and stuff like that is the reason I believe and say it is the media that is going to red pill the people that they've lied to about everything, right, on their trusted sources, the CNN, the BBC, MSNBC and stuff, is because they are controlled.
Yeah.
And they've been made at some point to start putting all this information out. Unless, of course, we see this 3 days of darkness, they all get swept up. And every time when people's TVs come back on, you're going to have completely new presenters, all talkers, you know, all like people who are on board. Because I believe as well, Trump and this team and these military tribunals and all these sorts of things, they have a number of reporters, let's say 50 to 100 reporters that were read in at the start of this, and they have been documenting everything in the military tribunals when they came out the Capitol building, hold traffic on the avenue, Trump and Kennedy are leaving, this sorts of stuff. Loads of reporters are coming out. I think they've all signed NDAs. They're not allowed to say anything, and these are the people that are going to report on everything that's happened. Not everything about the Q operation, but that is part of this disclosure about what's been going on behind the scenes. It will come from trusted media sources.
And didn't they say that all of these tribunals were supposedly shot in analog?
Yeah.
So that it could, you know.
And that didn't make a lot of sense when I heard that 4, 5, 6 years ago, right? But with all this AI coming out now,
exactly,
complete and utter sense. Yeah.
And that was said exactly. It was said that because they knew how things were going to progress, you know, with AI. It's
Well, maybe the White Hats are the ones been releasing all this AI at the right time. They filmed it in analog then. Right, we need to get people on board. Because, look, I mean, I use AI. I use Grok if I want to use AI. And it has been so helpful for me to dig on things. You know, where do I find this? Where's this video from and all that? What's the date of this? When did Fauci make that speech? You know, it's brilliant. But I don't rely on Grok.
Right.
Once Grok has given me a you know, directions heading or some links or things like that, I go and check it. You know,
yeah, and I use it all the time too.
People were posting a video about a month ago, and then I did one of my little, and I didn't put it out there. I couldn't be asked. I didn't make it public, but it was. Did you see that? It was Trump. Yeah, it might even be posted in the Mel's group, but loads of people were putting out Trump talking about stuff, sitting in a chair. So then I went into Grok. I was trying to find this, and I was looking and all this, and he sent me there. And Grok was saying it was this speech and that, and I couldn't find it. And then I kept digging and digging, and I found it. It was like people were putting it out like it had just come out, Trump talking about stuff, but it was actually from 2020 because
I remember that.
So many clips and everything.
Yeah.
And then I went and I just, my eyes lit up. I went, that's the chair. Always look for the tie, the chair, what's behind. Do you know what I mean? And stuff like that. And it's like, but I love doing it. I think it's fucking excellent. So
it's being like a little detective, right?
Well, we're all little detectives, aren't we? Really? We all are.
And you know, it is about pattern recognition. It's all about pattern recognition and connecting the dots. And when you talk about conspiracy theories, okay, you know what? There's nothing wrong with that, because there are theories that there are things that could be, but what we do is we don't assume it is just fake. See, they said conspiracy theory, meaning that it was fake. When we think of conspiracy theory, we're thinking about what's the real picture, what's the real story, what went on. So now we have to become pattern recognionists and put these pieces together to find the answers.
Yeah, you know, people in COVID times or before that used to call me a conspiracy theorist, and I didn't like it. Right? It's a truther, actually, or whatever. But I love being called a conspiracy theorist now.
Yeah.
But I am a pattern recognitionist.
Yes, exactly. It's like part of what you do, if that's what you are. I remember one of my relatives said so nastily, she's like, "Oh, why don't you just put on your tinfoil hat?" Do you have one?
Hold up. Yeah. I made one because I saw Lewis Irvin's making one, didn't he? There's mine.
There you go. Oh, I like that. That's a nice style too. That's really nice. That's classy.
Yeah, Lewis always used to wear his.
And I remember I said back to her, I said, yes. I said, and why don't you keep the blindfold on?
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Such nastiness, you know?
We'll have to do one show going back. I've got, well, I don't know where all the videos are, but just.
Well, we're going to do a show. You're going to come on Mel, and we're going to dig into the censorship on his show. So everybody that's watching this, don't forget to follow, you know, that we're going to have something on XRP QFS team with the Mel Carmine show, you know, as part of, because Stu was a very important contributor to the movie. And then let's see if we could get, you know, we got a good lineup so far of our friends, Patriots Across the Pond and friends.
Yeah, that's going to be at slightly different times, isn't it? Sort of between sort of 10:30 your time to 12:30. So it'll be 3:30 in the afternoon to 5:30 here start.
Yeah, it depends on where they're at. If they're on the West Coast, we're trying to adjust a few hours so they're not doing crack of dawn. And so we'll just have to announce those. But I think we agreed it's always going to be on a Tuesday. It's just the time, whether it's 10:30 or 12:30, we'll keep everybody posted on that.
Yeah, well, that's good. And then that could be your baby from your side. You can control that from over there then. Yeah? So you have to get your StreamYard skills right up and all that. But anything you need, what we do a little chat. And then I can show you how to load things and do stuff and anything of mine that you want. Because our little, can I put us down there like that? I made that. That's snazzy, isn't it?
It's so nice.
Yeah, I like that. I enjoyed making that and the little placeholder videos we have and Rumble and stuff like that. And it's, yeah, I'm quite.
It's all Stu. Anybody's watching? It's all Stu. He did all the creative. He sends me stuff and I say I love it or put my comments in. And today we were late because I don't know what the heck. I had set up my StreamYard to go live, but then it wasn't connecting with yours. And then when I connected with yours, then it was just like, yeah, it's just always like, I feel like nothing goes smoothly with all this technology.
Well, I think I know mine is working on Rumble and Twitter, but it looks like it says it's live on YouTube, but every time I refresh the YouTube feed to check, it doesn't look like it is. So when we finish, hopefully it will be on there. It's loaded anyway. But yeah, Hayley's watching on Rumble anyway.
Yes.
Didn't she?
So it
Good.
worked.
Thanks for joining us, Hayley. Now, do you just want to? I've got your 2 screenshots here. Do you want to just quickly talk about what you do?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Like by trade, I'm a coach. And
Hey,
as I've told
do you want me to
you.
put your screenshot up, yeah?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm getting that echo again
You're getting an echo
when I speak.
Are you? That must be because I'm sharing my. I don't. Let me. You could just talk a minute. I'll mute mine and try.
Okay. Still an echo.
Oh well, I don't know then. That must be on my computer.
So I'll just you can take it off the screen and I'll chat.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I just put those together for like when someone's going to read them, you know what I'm saying? They don't have to think. But no, what I do and where like after my really major awakening in 2016, I had been in the business world. I got divorced. I became a sole parent, and I just had a calling. I think I was always frustrated with this calling, but never did anything to just help people, like really help them. And I went into life transition coaching, and I take a very holistic approach to really getting people to understand not only cerebrally, like what do you want, what are your goals, all those strategic things, but also from your soul. What does your soul want? What is your purpose in life? How do we bring this to fruition? And equally important is this idea of trying to make people understand how powerful our consciousness is, that you can manifest whatever you want. You just need to know what you want, be very clear about that, and start to make it happen. So I work with people that are going through all kinds of life transitions, from divorce to empty nest. Believe it or not, that's a very hard transition for a lot of moms that have been stay-at-home moms, and retirement, usually all these times in our lives where we're going from one identity to another. And so anybody's interested, you can just visit my website, elisavalentino.com, and always have free consultations. But believe it or not, I've been getting a lot of my clients lately are the awakened. And so a lot of what they're struggling with is the things that we always talk about, like feeling alone. Where do I fit in anymore? Do I have a soul family? I don't really like to be around my, old friends or family. And it's this transition from how we used to live to how we're now living. And a lot of people are they've been through a lot, like we all have. And so now they're awakening to find out what their purpose is. But sometimes you need, like anything, baseball, a sport, whatever, you have a coach who's there to sort of rally for you, but also hold you accountable so that you don't give up on what it is you want to pursue. So anyway, so I welcome anybody to call me if you're looking to, up level or just put yourself on a different trajectory. So thanks for letting me put that out there, Stu.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, we're almost coaches ourselves, aren't we? Because we've been through it all, and we might have some more shit that we're going to learn.
Yes.
But we're prepared for it. If someone said like there's an asteroid coming, or the aliens are here, or all that sort of stuff, I would go, okay, let's see what happens. Pour myself a glass of wine or a beer or something, look out the window, or maybe not even look out the window, sit there with my eyes closed, having a meditation or something like that. I don't know, but it wouldn't scare me.
Yeah.
Not now. No. Fearless.
I think a lot of people are, like, not just us, obviously we're voices that are out there, but the people that watch us, we're all part of the same soul family. I think people are starting to really release their fear. Release the people that have awakened. And if you release your fear, that allows you to have that like really strengthen that connection with source, right? Because the fear is always the thing that stands in the way. And when you have that strong connection, for the most part, not that I think anybody wants to die or, be hurt, but you feel a sense of strength and like, all right, I'll handle what comes, whatever it is, there's a bigger plan than me.
Yeah, the other thing is as well, is that one of the reasons I do what I do is because when I was doing it on my own a very long time ago, and there wasn't many of us about, it was a very lonely experience trying to wake people up and all these sorts of things. But we've taken slings and arrows and fucking been berated and fucking whatever. It's all water off a duck's back now. But the reason I continue to do what I do is every time someone wakes up that knows me, they're going to know they've already got a soul family.
Yes.
Who's been through it and done it before and know where to come and ask questions and things like that. And you'll never stop me.
Yeah, that's so true. That's why I'm saying a lot of us, the ego has gone away and the anger is gone. And now we're just left with wanting, isn't that what we were told we were supposed to be doing? We're supposed to help people and be there to help them to get through their difficult awakening.
Yeah, exactly. Where we go, when we go all, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was great.
Great. That's another one. That's the longest one yet. Now, I've just set a little outro video, 1 minute, 48 seconds. I was just going through my stuff, thinking what I'm going to play, but I'll have a little chat with you afterwards. I know you'll enjoy this one. Patriots Across the Pond, episode 5. Thank you, Hayley, for watching and being our live viewer. Beautiful to see you. And I'll chat with you again in a bit, Elisa. All right?
All right, Stu. Bye-bye, everyone.
See ya.
We have it all. All of the illicit wealth in the world has been tracked by the National Security Agency for the past 15 years. We now know beyond a shadow of a doubt that Wall Street has stolen $100 trillion from Main Street with naked short selling. We also know that Wall Street has laundered $100 trillion in dirty money from trafficking in children and women and drugs and guns and gold. I can never tire of saying that 90% of the people in the U.S. government, the U.S. military, the U.S. intelligence community are good people trapped in a bad system. The secret intelligence community serves the deep state. It does not serve the American public. And CIA in particular has been doing torture, rendition and torture, drone assassination, regime change, helping to start wars based on lies, all because war and trafficking in humans and drugs and so forth are a profit center for Wall Street and the deep state. And once the president gets Benny into NSA and processes 100% of what we have at NSA, we have every single one of you by the balls. You cannot survive this. You have one out. The Truth and Reconciliation out is make the deal, motherfucker, or you are going to die.